Hey guys, welcome to Influencing Artists. In this video, I'm going to chat with my friend and Greensboro artist, Gina Franco. All this and more coming right up. If you like watching videos about artists, art techniques, and art business, go ahead and click subscribe now so you don't miss any of our future videos. Enjoy!
Let me tell you a little thing about art.
Oh, life could be a dream if I could take you up in paradise, I suppose. If you would tell me I'm the only one that you love, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again.
Hey Gina.
Hey Jenna.
Hey. Gina. What's up? Thank you for joining us today. Everybody, this is Gina Franco. She is an artist here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I am super excited to have her here with us today, as she was my first artist friend that I made here in Greensboro. So it's super exciting to have you here with me today. Cheers. Cheers. So Gina, tell me a little story about where you're from.
I was actually born in Salisbury, North Carolina, which is not far from here. Very small town. Luckily, I was about 12, maybe a little bit younger when I got out. I say got out because nothing against people who were born and raised in Salisbury. I'm sure they're cool people. But I try to picture what I would be like if I would have stayed there. At least here, there's a little bit more exposure to arts. So if I would have stayed there, who knows? But so I was born there. I lived a little bit in Charlotte for a couple of years, and then I made my way here.
How long have you considered yourself an artist?
I would say probably about 4 years. I had a really hard time calling myself an artist for a while. It felt kind of cheesy, like I'm an artist. But I think probably in the last 2 years, I'm like, I'm an artist.
So how did you start your artist adventures?
I've always kind of liked art, but I never thought of it as art. It was just doodling or drawing or keeping busy. So I was teaching at a school about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and they were wanting a mural done in the library, and I was like, well, I'll do it, for fun. I can draw. So that was the first mural I did. So I posted the mural on Facebook, and I got, like a big reaction. Everybody was like, oh my God, I didn't know you're an artist, and I was like, I didn't either. I knew I could draw. I mean, I've always been able to draw pretty well, but that didn't make me an art, It wasn't like I was an artist. I just could draw. So I think it was really like after my mom died, which was 2 years ago. That's just when I had like all this kind of these, just feelings I needed to just do stuff to keep busy. That's really when it just I just decided, I was like, I'm going to do this all the time. I went to school for business at Guilford College. I did take one painting class, it satisfied some requirement I needed. And I remember, I loved it. I just was like, oh my God, this is, but in my mind I was like, okay, I got to be practical. I have a kid, I'm not going to pay any bills with this, just whatever, just forget about it. So I ended up minoring in painting by the time I was done in Guilford. I have a majored in business and then minor in painting.
Oh.
Which didn't make sense then. It makes a lot of sense now.
So let me tell you guys a little story about how we met. I was working as the program director for Alamance Arts a couple of years ago, and Gina was an artist that just so happened to reach out to me one day. She gave me a phone call while I was working at the Arts Council and asked if there were any mural spaces available in Burlington, or if we were looking for any artists to do any murals in Alamance County. Unfortunately, I didn't really have an answer for you, right. But we got to chatting on the phone a little bit. We kind of instantly became friends on the phone. Really.
Yeah, it was like
weird.
I could tell she was hot just by talking to her. So I was like, we should hang out. I was like, you sound super hot. Really, I had saw an article, and it ended up being like 2 years old, I think. I didn't really realize that till later, but it said that Burlington was revamping their downtown, right? And they had this big grant. Usually, there's a certain amount kind of set aside for arts, So I was like, this might be a good time. I just started Googling a bunch of stuff, and then her name came up and her contact. So, yeah,
I decided to actually leave
well, we
the
had a
Arts
meet.
Council.
Remember, we met up in Greensboro for the first time.
She
it was
invited
like a blind
me.
date. And I was like, because she said something about, wanting to kind of get in a scene.
Into the art scene.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, we definitely got more going on in Burlington. So come up here. And we met at Urban Grinders. Right.
And we talked about some stuff.
Right. And then that was it. It was on and popping.
And then we painted together at the Bearded Goat for the first time.
We did.
Which was pretty cool.
Yep.
It was my first experience meeting other artists, other than just you two, which was really cool. You're really the main reason why I'm in Greensboro, and I'm super thankful for that. So that whole experience, I guess, kind of helped me realize, how proactive you are in the art community, and how you have been over the past couple of years that I've known you. She was one of the very few artists that actually reached out to me, the program director of the Arts Council, to look for opportunities. Like, you have tried so hard, and it really only took you a year to really become a pretty well-known artist here in Greensboro. So what was your process? You just called a bunch of places, and
nobody's coming to you. Like, you can't sit in your house and think that somebody's going to call you up and say, can you come do a mural? I mean, some artists eventually get to that point where they're so well, especially with social media, they're so well known that people reach out to them and they invite them to projects. But once I realized that I was going to have to put myself in front of people that make these kind of decisions, I didn't know where to start. There's not like a handbook or anything. You just Google, and just I know that every city has an arts council or some sort of,
arts community
something.
Or something.
So that's kind of where I know that they all usually have budgets that they have to spend every year to do some sort of art program. I kind of knew enough about the Greensboro that there wasn't a whole lot of funding at that moment for Greensboro artists, so I started reaching out. But the one documentary that I watched, she said something about you have to treat it like a part-time job. Any kind of entrepreneurial anything. So I was like, I just like, okay, this is my part-time job. So every night when I got off work, I would spend a few hours, clock in, and on what I was trying to do, whether it was, actually painting or trying to line something up or research, sketching, every night I would just spend a few hours.
So Gina, what are some of the most exciting projects you've done? I know recently you just came back from Jacksonville, Florida, which is really cool. You did a mural out of state.
That project out of town is exciting because I get to, meet totally new people. I get engaged with a whole different community. So that one was a lot of fun. That took about 4 days. It was in a really rough side of town. By the time I was done, I pretty much knew everybody, all the locals. So that was a lot of fun. And just seeing the impact that something that small, something like that had on that community. I mean, everybody was saying, oh, when you're driving in, it's like this bright spot in our neighborhood.
Did you contact them? Or?
Yes, I subscribe to probably every website that's available. So I get emails anytime there's that city post a call, because a lot of these cities they have like a newsletter or something that you can get signed in on. So every time that they have artist calls, you'll get you get an email.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So this was one of those, and they were looking for a community pride mural, and I was had done a few community type projects, so I was like, oh, this would be a good fit. Never been to Jacksonville, so I was like, okay, even better. But yeah, I love all the out of town stuff. I really want to do more here. I don't have enough.
That's awesome.
Things here. A lot of the murals here in Greensboro are indoors, like crafted, IRC. There's one inside.
I love the one at Crafted.
Yeah, the one. I mean, that was just the bomb. And that was a collaboration with Brian Lewis.
One of the.
So I'm glad I got with him before he blew up. I mean, the one at the Cultural Arts Center, CVA on the 3rd floor, the crayon mural.
Yeah.
That's still one of my favorites. Yes Weekly, there's one in their office.
That's cool.
So like I said, everything's kind of inside, so I don't really know what to tell people. And they're like, oh yeah, I want to check out one of your pieces here. And I'm like, so that's why I'm doing this new project So I have a wall that I did a vote mural. It's like a Nike sign, but it says vote. And I decided to just use that wall and just change it out, at least once a month. With, just kind of like a photo destination type mural piece. Nothing like real detailed or anything, just something fun. Kind of like a pop-up type thing, and just kind of do that every, maybe once a month, just to be able to interact and engage Greensboro a little bit.
Yeah, cool. So what motivates you to continue creating art?
I'm just obsessed. Like, it's just like any, drug or, anything that's like consumes your life, and like you have that, like, I go to bed, I wake up. There's no way for me at this point to not create.
So what is your ultimate goal as an artist?
I do want to be recognized. So if I can contribute to the art world in some way and like leave something behind, just the same way like Picasso and all these people, we study them and for certain things that they did, or if I could leave something behind that people, that's just totally different, or
something that's appreciated for years and years.
Yeah, that would be it. I would ultimately like to be able to be creative and be an artist full time. It's really hard to have a full time job and do art on the side.
Right.
It's kind of like you're cheating yourself, because that this is really what you want, but you put it to the side to go make money in this real job. And it's not, it's not really fair. Once you decided that that's what you want to do. So if I could do it full time, and support myself and my son by doing it, then that's like the ultimate. Like that's the thing. Once I realized it was possible, I was like, oh hell, because before that I was like,
starving
there's
artist.
No way, starving artist. So it was so much easier to have that mindset, because I was like, oh well. But once I realized that you can, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get to that point.
Right.
And just had to be patient.
And you did do whatever you had to do. You made the phone calls, you were proactive, you contacted people, you tried spray paint for the first time. When I first met Gina, she didn't spray paint at all.
No, just sitting out there with a little brush, but it looks a lot cooler.
It does.
To use spray paint.
It's cleaner. It's probably less time consuming, right? To do spray paint.
Yeah, the scale of a mural that I could do in 3 days, 2 days, compared to if I was out there with a brush.
It would take forever. Layers and layers of paint with using a brush and acrylic paint. And that's what some people don't understand. Why do you spray paint? It's because
and any of that you can learn if you just it's not gonna be overnight, but if you practice. And I still don't have I've adapted my own way of doing it, and it might not be the same as anybody else, but I figured out how to use it for me. And so people might be like, oh, you're holding the can wrong, or this is what works for me.
So if I know you're a teacher at a school, so if you had to give students kind of advice on what to do if you want to be an artist, or if you feel like pursuing being an artist in the real world, what would you say?
I would tell them to start now. I think about if I would have started 20 years ago. I'm about to be 38. So I feel like
I'm gorgeous.
Thank you. I feel like I'm getting a late start. I would definitely tell them to like that you can make money from art. You can support yourself. And you cannot worry about what people think. And I think that is the biggest. The thing, like, oh, what I'm doing is stupid, or it's not good enough, or all that is like wasted energy. And like the best artists like are ones that just don't give a
they don't care.
They don't give a
Thank you guys so much for watching. Gina talked about how she clocks in to work on her artwork and keeps a schedule of sorts. How do you treat your art business as a job? Please leave that in the comments below. Remember to stay peaceful, as a calm mind is a creative mind. Now go get inspired, be an influence, and make something beautiful today. Peace.
If you will tell me I'm the only one that you love, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again, sugar, and we'll meet again.